Okay, John chapter 7, we have Jesus getting ready to come to a festival. It says that he was traveling around Galilee. He stayed out of Judea, where the Jewish leaders were plotting his death. But soon it was time for this Jewish festival of shelters. And so Jesus' brothers, his actual brothers, said to him, "Leave here and go to Judea, where your followers can see your miracles. You can't become famous if you hide like this. If you can do such wonderful things, show yourself to the world." And so we begin to see, once again, what is the purpose of Jesus. And his brothers don't really understand who he is yet fully. They don't certainly know that he's the Messiah. We're going to see later that his brother James comes to faith and becomes a leader in the church. And the book that we have in the New Testament is from him. We'll see that later in our series. But this sort of gets at the question of who is Jesus, what is he there for, what's his identity. He ends up going to the festival. Midway through the festival, he shows up at the temple and he began to teach. And so the people were surprised when they heard him. They said, how does he know so much when he hasn't been trained? Because again, he was just a carpenter. He wasn't a religious leader. Jesus, you can read that for yourself. Jesus answers them. He tells them he's from God, and he begins to talk about all that stuff and mentions the Sabbath from the previous chapter. And so then this question comes out there: is he the Messiah or not? Who is he really? And it says in verse 31, many among the crowds at the temple believed in him. And the reason is, they said, after all, would you expect the Messiah to do more miraculous signs than this man has done? So because of his miracles, he must be the Messiah, right? So that's kind of the reasoning. Some people believe because of miracles. Other people believe because of teachings. And so that's kind of part of the issue there, part of the debate. It says on the last day, at the climax of the festival, Jesus stood and he shouted to the crowds, "Anyone who is thirsty may come to me. Anyone who believes in me may come and drink, for the scriptures declare rivers of living water will flow from his heart." So once again, we see this. He's bringing some of those images back in, rivers of living water. And we see that parenthetically that we're talking about when the Holy Spirit comes, who's God himself. The Holy Spirit fills you and moves you. And that's really what he's referring to here, like what he was referring to with Nicodemus in John chapter 3. But once again, the crowd is divided about him. Some wanted to arrest him, but no one laid a hand on him because it wasn't yet his time, because God was still in it. There was more to be done. And so we see this issue once again. As you read John chapter 7, you're going to read about Jesus at the festival, and you're going to read about his identity and who people took him to be. And it's a great question for you. Who do you think Jesus is? Make sure you're asking that as you're reading through the book of John.